Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the Beast. Yeah, 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 yeah. He tapped in at the break of dawn. Told us King keep pushing on. Ice bath drip in the miles fell long. But your words kept us locked in strong.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show, definitely another exciting guest. Today we're gonna go into. Let me use these initials. NP, NLP.
Yes.
And it's funny because I didn't know what this word actually meant until just now. And if anybody knows this show, it's also about empowerment and education. But let's go deeper. Imagine being a woman, 15 years of abuse. I know what some people might be saying, 15 years, you're crazy, you should have walked away. A lot easier said than done. And like I always tell people, you never know until you walk in somebody else's shoes. I don't endorse abuse on any form. However, some people stay in it because they may not have another recourse or they don't have a plan of action to get out. Now, imagine, if you will, with me, 15 years of that and really finding a way out. But during that finalization of finding your way out, you stumble on a whole new level of opportunities. You become an entrepreneur. You go to therapy, and then you find out in therapy, you got a gift for something else. This is where the initial NLP pops up. And today on the show, this beautiful young lady from North Carolina is going to share with us how all of this came into her midst and how she's actually taking that beast mindset and taking all of this pain and this suffering and giving it back to the people. Let's welcome to the show, Miss Angel Snyder. What's up, baby girl?
Hello. I am doing fantastic today. How are you?
I am doing great. We're going to get into this NLP in a second. But before we do that, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into your story.
Well, I am a mother of two, grandmother of one. I own a home repair and renovation business. It just hit 10 years last year, end of last year. And I do the work, I do the paperwork, I do the scheduling, I do the everything for this business. And just recently hired some guys because I'm going to try to transfer out of the so much hands-on and work on helping people change their mindsets. I come from a pretty normal family, divorced parents, four siblings. Sorry, I'm number 5. So 4 siblings. Pretty normal here. I live in a military town, so it's pretty diverse as far as culture goes. And I ended up in a marriage that was not great. You're right. People are like, why didn't you walk away? Why didn't you walk out? And I definitely would have given that same advice to somebody else prior to being in the situation. But it's so manipulative and isolating and dependent, like codependent. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly. My husband never hit me. Not one time did he hit me. Pointed a gun at me, threatened to shoot me a couple of times, put his hands around my throat a couple of times. Definitely used threatening language, threatening actions. I was afraid for my life. And that didn't happen till later, and I didn't even know I was being abused at all until my oldest daughter, when she was about 13, she came home from school one day and she said, "Mom, I watched this video at school today, and it was really interesting. My oldest daughter is uh not real fond of school. So for her to have an interest in something was like, "Oh, yes, tell me more about it. Like, why was this video so interesting?" And she tells me what it's about, and it's about emotional abuse. And I said, "Look, why is that interesting to you?" And she looked at me and she was like, "It's it's your husband." And I started looking into emotional abuse and psychological abuse, and realized I am being abused. And it took me it took me 4 years to leave. Even after that, like after doing all the research, and I had started like looking into myself at the same time, because like I said, I would have given that advice, just leave. Why don't you just leave? And it's not that easy. It's not just walk out the door. If it were that easy, we would have done it, right? Like every woman or man in this position would have done that if it were just walk out the door and go.
You mentioned your daughter
Hmm.
brought it to your attention,
Yes.
but you said something like she said, "That's your husband." It wasn't that her father as well.
No, no, no. My oldest daughter is from my first marriage.
So that was more like her stepdad.
Yes.
When, with that being said, let's get real.
Okay.
How many other people probably knew about it and turned a blind eye to it? Or let's go deeper than this. You just said you would have said that to somebody else. So the
Yes.
question is, how many people, as far as you know, might have turned a blind eye to it and
Oh.
or told you numerous times, and let's get real, let's go deeper. You
Mhm.
stayed.
Yes. Absolutely. So after leaving the last time, the time that stuck, I found out lots of people knew. Lots of people saw what he was doing and nobody said anything. And like I had people apologize to me for not stepping up. And I was like, you know what? I realized I had to be my knight in shining armor. Like nobody was coming to save me. It was me or nothing. And so like I appreciated the fact that they recognized it and they were like, I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do. But it's not their job to do that for me. It's not their job to save me. It's my job to save me. And in some ways I knew. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew that my relationship was not okay. And there's a term called intermittent reinforcement.
Right.
And that's how they get you. Either it's like a dopamine hit. It's like being addicted to a drug. You get those good moments and you're like, how do I get that back?
Let me ask you a question here. Excuse me. A lot of times when these things show its face, the woman usually doesn't have a career, something in place. She goes straight from high school into marriage, or quit school, goes into marriage with the what I call the Disney princess theory, that one of these princesses is going to illustrate her life.
Right.
How did you meet him? Did you have a career, and how did you meet him? Because usually you meet people and you see the signs of what could be, but you feel one or two ways here. You can either change that person, either be male or female, because let's get real, males also get domestic abuse. They just don't talk about it.
Absolutely.
But the person already have shown you who they are, and you try to repair them, or you feel, are you dealing with something on your own and you're trying to camouflage it with what I might call a safety net?
So I met him he was a friend of mutual friends. Like we were in the same friend group, and that's how I met him. And to be honest, when I first met him, I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. I thought he was, for lack of a better word, I thought he was an asshole. And somehow we ended up talking, just the two of us. And he, what I thought happened was he took the mask off. Like the mask that he showed his friends, this big alpha male persona that he had. Um, I thought that was a mask for his friends. So when we talked alone, he like totally different person. And I got to know him on a one-on-one basis, and we started talking more often, just the two of us. And I was 20, I think I was 23 when we met, and he offered all of the things that I was looking for. Um, you know, stability and security and drive. He had motivation, he had ambitions, things that I didn't have in previous relationships. And so I got attached, and he he pushed things pretty quickly. I think he moved in with me like within 6 months of us talking. And I mean, he was kind of staying there all the time prior to that, but he like moved in within 6 months.
For 23, you had your own place.
I bought my house at 20. I bought my first house at 23.
Now, what career did you have to buy a house at 23 years old?
I was an exotic dancer.
Excuse me?
I was an exotic dancer.
You make that kind of money?
I mean, I didn't pay cash for the house.
Uh,
I paid cash for the down payment, but I didn't pay cash for the house, and that's a story all in itself as to how I ended up buying a house at 23 years old.
okay. So congratulations. You know, hey, exotic dancers, you made money and you knew how to invest it. Okay. So at
Yes.
23, you got a house and he starts to show up pretty regular and
Yes.
stuff. But outside of exotic dancing, were you doing exotic dancing to like go to college, to be an entrepreneur, or was it just money?
It was money. It was a job.
Okay.
I I actually started dancing with my first husband. My first husband and I were together. I was working a full-time job. He was going through basic law enforcement training. If you're not familiar with that, they can't even have a part-time job going through BLET because the hours are so crazy. There's no way for somebody to schedule them. So I was footing the bill for our entire life. Um, and we
Okay.
were,
Hold that thought for a minute. I'm trying to make sure I heard you correctly. So let me pause for a second and rewind. Your first husband, you're 23 years old. So how old were you with the first husband?
my first husband was my high school sweetheart. We met when I was 16. We got engaged when I was 18, married when I was 19, pregnant when I was 20, separated by 21. It was a very fast relationship.
Okay.
um,
I'm just trying to fill in the pieces here.
you're fine. You're fine. We're great friends. Actually, we literally just went and saw Top Gun in the movie theater together like a week ago. My
What a
first
great
husband and
movie.
I, we were always great friends. We just weren't compatible married.
Okay, so there
And
was
we
there wasn't any domestic stuff with him. That didn't
no,
show his face until you got 23 and met this guy.
yes,
Did your first
yes,
husband know this guy?
no,
Okay,
no,
so he just came out of nowhere and you let him move in the house and now we're back
yes.
on track. Okay, so now what happens?
So he moved in. That was probably March 2008. I found out I was pregnant with my second daughter, who is this guy's. I found out I was pregnant with her in April. And obviously, he did not want me dancing anymore. So he was like, I'll foot the bill for the house. You know, like, I'll take care of everything while you're pregnant. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. I didn't want to do that because I'd always been very independent as far as finances go. And so that was a new thing for me. But I was like,
what were you gonna do at 23
right.
pregnant and dancing? I mean, do they allow women to dance pregnant?
They do allow women to dance pregnant. They do indeed allow women to dance pregnant, but this was also in the era of you still could smoke in a bar.
Okay.
So lots of cigarette smoke, lots of drunk people, lots of, potential for accidents, falling downstairs, falling off a pole, whatever, right? Like, not really a safe place to be a
Yeah,
pregnant
yeah.
woman. So it was kind of like, all right, well, I guess I will quit my job and I will allow you to like pay the bills and stuff. And I still found little odd jobs to do on the side to make some money because I did not like being financially dependent on someone else. Then I had our daughter. He didn't want her to go to daycare. He didn't want certain people watching her. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a little while. And that furthered the isolation. Like that's where the isolation started was like you're not gonna have a job, so you don't have anybody to talk to outside of here. Um, then when I got pregnant or like after I had the baby and I was home for a while there, I was like, my mom was retired. So I would go my mom lives about 45 minutes away. So like while he was at work, I was going to visit my mom, hanging out with my mom with the baby so she could be grandma. And he was keeping track of the money he was giving me. He was like, I want itemized list of what you're doing with this money. And so every week he would give me money and he would say like how much is in the bank account. And depending on how much was missing, like he would do the math and be like, oh, well, where did $500 go? Or where did this amount go? And I'm like, well, I'll have to go look through my bank account and see. And he was like, how much are you spending on gas? And so I told him, he was like, you can't do that anymore. So that eliminated my ability to go see my mom as much. So I was like limited to, hanging out. Like I couldn't hang out with her. Um, and then he didn't like my friends. And so I was the girlfriend that went everywhere with the guy group. And at the time, I thought, oh, like I'm the girlfriend that nobody complains about. Like all the other girlfriends, my husband would come home and he'd be like, "Oh my God, listen to what wife did or said." And she was never invited to go out with him to the bar. She was never invited to go out shooting. She was never invited to go out to do the things that I was invited to go out to do. So I was like, "Oh, cool. It must be because I'm the girlfriend that everybody like is cool with being there." Come to find out, like looking back on it now, it's probably more he just did not want to take his eyes off of me. He needed to know where I was and what I was doing at all times. So that's why I was included in all of the male outings that other girlfriends weren't invited to. Or wives in some cases.
Well, you had to see those women in your town eventually throughout the years of being
Oh,
married.
of
Didn't they
course.
say something to you like, you know,
No, no,
really?
I mean, I was friends with some of them, like when we would do things that were like girlfriends were invited, we would sometimes have like Super Bowl parties or like football days or whatever, and like girlfriends would come to the house, and so all the girls would hang out in one room and the guys would hang out in the other room, and so I talked to these women. They were as close of friends as I had in the time.
And
Um,
none of them thought that that was really weird that
no,
you was always with them at events and they wasn't?
and if they did, they didn't say anything to me. Uh, like they never like pointed it out that it was weird. I think I think maybe like being on the outside looking in, maybe it just looked like, oh, her boyfriend really loves her. He really wants her around. Because we were all young, um, and naive. Like none of us knew what was really happening. I don't think. The men knew more than we did.
Mhm.
After we, because there was people we'd been friends with as a couple, like males and females that we'd been friends with as a couple almost our whole marriage. And when I left and they found out, like there was quite a few people that were like, yeah, this one time this happened and da 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 da. Like they knew, they saw it. They
Hmm.
saw what they saw what he was willing to do in front of other people.
What do you mean by that?
He when we went out in public, there was a facade. And we all played a part in it. Myself and my children. We were this perfect happy family and nothing could ever be wrong with us and we were just great and um you didn't talk back, you didn't speak unless you were spoken to, and all of these were unspoken rules. All of these were just behavior patterns I recognized throughout our relationship. And so it was like, okay, I would say something in the beginning of our relationship, I would say something and he would, I guess basically he would just tell me like that's not okay, or he would get angry about it, sometimes threatening in places where it wasn't warranted. And so, it became the norm for me. It became life to just, and it was little bits by little bits that he was breaking me down and I was abandoning myself. I was, like I said, trying to get back to that place where we were good. Like that you don't stay 15 years because every day is bad.
Right.
There were good times, right?
Right.
So, but it was always like I'm fighting for those good days, right? Like I'm trying not to breathe too loud. I'm trying not to talk too loud. I don't want to complain about anything that's happening in my life. God forbid I had a good day. I felt like I couldn't tell him about it because he was having a bad day. And so I was like, well, I can't share my good news with you because then you're going to be angry that you had this god awful day and I had a great day. So I have to downplay my own day just to appease you.
When when did the shift really change? It did it change when your daughter came home from school, or was the gun to the head the final straw?
No, unfortunately, that was not even the final straw. Um, I I noticed I noticed anger issues pretty early on. Um, but they were short-lived. And then he was an alcoholic for a little while, and that was horrible. He stopped that on his own. Like I didn't say anything to him about it. He just, I don't know what changed in him, but he stopped drinking as much.
Why
And
was that horrible?
when he was drinking,
Yeah.
oh my God. Alcohol made him violent. Alcohol made him just lose any sense of decency as a human being.
But he never hit
He
you
never hit me.
physically. So did it become more verbalized
It was,
and role
yes.
play? Let's call it verbalization and role playing. I'm putting the gun to your head and I'm going to blow your blah
Oh
blah
no,
blah.
that wasn't role playing. He meant to kill me.
Really?
He meant to kill me. Both times he did it.
Did he
Um,
tell you why he want to kill you?
the first time he thought I was cheating on him. The second time, actually, it was both times he thought I was cheating on him. Um, and in the first time it happened, I felt he was justified.
Were you cheating on him?
Emotionally, yes, I was.
What does that
And
mean emotionally? Yes, I was.
I was having conversations with another man that was emotional, like we were having an emotional affair.
Nothing physical.
Nothing physical.
Did he
And
find
I'm
out
not
about it?
condoning. I'm sorry.
Did he find out about it?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was the first time he pointed the gun at me. Um and I felt he was justified in that reaction. Like Okay, yeah, I screwed up, and I didn't like when he confronted me about it. I didn't lie about it. I didn't ask who told him. I didn't ask how he found out. I knew I did it, and I'm not condoning my behavior in that moment.
Were you transparent as to tell him the reason why?
I was
And what was his reaction?
uh anger. I think maybe actually I think that was when he pulled the gun. Was when I told him why it was happening.
Did you revisit it after he was sober and able to carry on a more intelligent conversation with him and say, look, it might have went this way with the gun and so forth, but however, I did it because you wasn't emotionally available.
No. Any conversations we had about it after the initial conversation was what a piece of shit I was. He brought it up several times over like the next probably month or so afterwards. I cut off all contact with this other person. I cut off contact with anybody that knew him because we were in the same we were all in the friend group together, and so I cut off everybody just to show like, hey, this it didn't matter who the other person was. This could have been an 80-year-old man with ED. I needed someone to be emotionally available to me. I did not feel wanted. I feel like your roommate and your maid and your slave. And this person made me feel better about myself. I'm not condoning what I did, but this is why it happened. And he brought it up a couple of times. Like I said, probably over the next month or so, he brought it up a couple of times. But it was like he would bring it up. He would bring up the text messages. Because that's where it was happening, was via text message. So he would bring up the text messages and be like, so I was reading through these again, and what does this mean and what does that mean? And when you've had someone threat that was the first time he threatened my life. That was just the first time he pointed a gun at me. Um this man had threatened my life prior to that. And it's really hard to have a voice when it doesn't matter what you say. Nothing I could have said in those moments would have defused him, if that makes any sense. Like,
Did the shift change with him even more? And what I mean by that is you're already being micromanaged, but you don't realize it at
mm,
the time. So now, to me, if he doesn't trust you based on what had happened, the micromanage becomes even more of a prison for you because now he's
oh,
checking phones, watching radar detector.
absolutely. He had my location after that. We moved my cell phone had always been on my own plan. We moved it to his plan. Um, I I was working, actually I had already started the business I currently own. And I couldn't go to work because I worked by myself in empty houses, and all I could think was every time I go to work he thinks I'm cheating. What am I going to come home to if that's the case? So I actually put the business on the back burner and went and worked for another contractor. And my first day there, I told my husband about it. I said, hey, like, he offered me a job. I start tomorrow if I want it. Not only will I learn some more things that I don't know already, but uh it's a guaranteed paycheck as aside from what I'm doing now. And he agreed, and he said, what are the hours? I have to be there at 8. I had to be there. We got off at 4. The place we met was only 5 minutes away from our house. So I would go first thing in the morning. I would meet the crew. We'd get in the vans. We'd go to work. We're done by 4. I came home. The first time I came home after 4 o'clock, it was like 4:03. I walked in the front door, and he comes flying out of his. By this time, he was working from home. So he comes flying out of his office, and he said, you'll have to pardon my language. He said, where the fuck have you been? What the fuck time are you supposed to be home from work? And I'm immediately confused because I get off at 4. I can't teleport from the like where we drop the vans off to the house. Like, I'm not going to be home at 4. And he said, so, and I said that. I said, well, I told you that I got off at 4. I still have to drive home. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. If you're going to walk through that door at 4 minutes and 30 fucking seconds, I better know about it. If you're not coming in that door at 4 o'clock, I better know about it beforehand. So I had a reminder set on my phone every day at 3:30, because where we were at in the job would tell me what time I'm going to get back to base and back to the house every day.
How in the heck can you live like that? More importantly, where are your 2 kids?
The kids were in school. Both of them went, like, I would take them both to school first thing in the morning. And my oldest daughter, I would pick her up. I had set it up with the employer that on the days that I had her, because my ex-husband and I had like split weeks. So I didn't have her Monday through Friday. I had her like Wednesday through Thursday through Sunday, or Wednesday through Sunday, something like that. She's 21 now, so I don't remember. But so I had like certain days I had to go get her. So I worked it out with my boss that, hey, on these days I have to leave at 2 o'clock to get my daughter from school. And then I would come home. My youngest daughter got off the bus at about 4 o'clock. So about the time I was coming home from work, my youngest was getting off the bus. And if it was a day I had my oldest, I had already picked her up. So the kids were not there while he was home. They got home when I got home, pretty much. And yeah, it was, I felt I deserved that punishment. Him talking to me the way that he did about coming home 3 minutes late. I felt I deserved that, because I just broke my vows, right? I cheated. Whether it was physical or not, it's still cheating. And so I was trying to do everything I could to prove to him, like, I don't want this other person. That wasn't the point. That's not why it happened. It was because I wanted you. And you just aren't here. You're not available to me in any like capacity, really.
When did you finally walk away from the situation?
It took, like I mentioned before, it took me a couple of times. Like I didn't stay away the first time I left. The catalyst for me leaving was, it was actually Thanksgiving. We went to his parents' house for Thanksgiving. His dad offered him alcohol. And like I mentioned, my husband gets angry and violent when he drinks. And I don't know what was going on in my mind that day, but his dad offered him alcohol. He ended up drinking a whole bottle of whatever it was his dad offered him. And he was telling his mom, like, hey, do you have any more of this? And she was like, no. And he goes, you don't have any more alcohol in this house. And she said, not for you. And I said, no, go ahead and give it to him. I was driving. I don't drink. So I was driving and I was like, no, go ahead, give it to him. And she gave me this look, because she knew what was going on too. She was living it. Her husband was my husband. Like, she'd been living this for 50 years or 40, however long they'd been together at the time. So she gave me this look like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let him have it. So she gave him another bottle. He got 3 sheets to the wind drunk. He had a gun on him in a bag. And so when we left, I made sure the bag went in the trunk of my car so that he didn't have it like in arm's reach. We get in the car. He is acting a fool. He's got my daughter playing, my youngest daughter was in the back seat, and he's got her playing this like loud heavy metal like mosh pit music. And he is treating my passenger seat like it's a mosh pit. He is in my face, like right here, like psychopathic laughing. And I said something about getting out of the car. Like I said something about him getting out of the car, and he tried to open the door while the car's moving. I slammed on the brakes in the middle of the road. I didn't even look to see if there was somebody behind me. I said, if you're going to get out, get out. And he was like, no, I was just kidding. I'm like, okay. So we keep going. We get about halfway home and he says, where's my gun? I said, I grabbed it. He goes, I know you grabbed it. Where is it? I said, it's in the trunk of the car. And he said, can you get it? I'm like, no, you don't need it. He says, yeah, I do. I said, for what? He goes, I'm going to shoot that guy. I'm like, what guy? He goes, the guy in that truck right there. I'm like, for what? He said, he looked at you. So this man looking at me deserved to be murdered in his mind right then. And I said, no, he does not. Like, maybe I'm in a car. Maybe he was looking over here to see the vehicle. Like, you don't even know what he was looking at. And he said, well, that's fine. I'm just going to fight these people then. And he's out the window of my car. There's people walking down the street and he is like, I'm going to fight these people. I pull into the parking lot. I said, get the fuck out of my car. He said, what? And I was like, get the fuck out of my car right now. You're acting like a freaking lunatic. Get out. And he was like, no, I'm just kidding. I'll shut up. He was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I said, if you do it again between here and home, I'm going to let you out of a moving vehicle. Are we clear? He said, yeah, I got it. So he didn't speak the rest of the time on the drive home. We get home and I sent my daughter upstairs because I don't know what's coming, but I know it's not going to be pretty and it's not something she needs to see. So I sent her upstairs and he starts getting loud with me. He starts getting angry and, he was delusional. Just spouting things that didn't make any sense. And I have never in our entire relationship yelled at my husband. Never would have even fathomed the thought of doing so, but I was that day. I'd had it. And my daughter called the cops because I was getting loud and I don't even yell at my kids. I have never raised my voice to my kids. And if I did, because I was stressed out, I apologized immediately. It was like, hey, that was unwarranted. You don't deserve that. Mom was stressed out about this. I am sorry. Can we try again? Right? Like, never yelled at my kids. So her hearing me yell was like, oh God, something is really wrong. So she called the cops. I get him to calm down. As soon as I get him to calm down, the cop knocks on the door. We step outside. Cop says, like, hey, somebody called. Can I talk to the daughters? So we bring her outside. I was like, if you need to talk to her alone, because she is not going to speak in front of her dad. So I was like, if you need to take her somewhere else, like, I'm cool with that. And he was like, I'm just going to take her down the driveway. Okay. So my husband and I go back inside and he was like, I wonder why she called the cops. I'm like, she did the right thing. She was scared. She did the right thing. And so the cop comes back up with our daughter. We go up. She comes in. She says, hey, he wants to talk to you. So we both go outside and the cop's like, look, she's not bleeding. You're not dead. I'm not going to get CPS involved tonight, but I'm on call till 5 a.m. And if that child calls me 10,000 times tonight, I will be here 10,000 times. He was like, so just keep it down. Okay. So my husband takes the conversation into the garage where my daughter can't hear it anymore. And I don't even know how this part of the conversation occurred, but I said something along the lines of him choking me and like pointing a gun at me. And he said, that was me showing restraint. I was like, you were showing restraint? He goes, yeah, if I wasn't showing restraint, I would have waterboarded you. And he proceeded to describe in very great detail how he would have done that. Like what angle the table would have been out, what kind of bag would have been
he was going to waterboard you, which for the people that don't know, that's where they put you in a chair, tie you down, and pour water in your mouth with a towel.
Yeah.
They use asphyxiate.
Yes. He was going to torture me, literally torture me to death if he wasn't showing restraint.
Okay, this may sound crazy. I just got to ask this question. When do you leave?
That was that was the catalyst. That was I am not safe here. For you to tell me that you pointed a gun, he has a carry conceal permit. So you learned in carry, if for those of that those of you that don't know, when you go through the carry conceal permit, one of the number one rules in gun safety is do not point it at anything, unloaded or not. Do not point it at anything you don't intend to kill. That is the number one rule of gun safety. Do not ever point a gun at something you don't intend to kill. So he pointed a gun at me more than once. You intended to kill me. Choking is a felony. It's attempted murder in the state of North Carolina. I don't know if that's the case for everywhere, but in the state of North Carolina, that is attempted murder. But you're telling me that those two things were you showing restraint, because what you would have done without restraint is waterboard me. That was the moment I was like, I'm out. I cannot put my kids through this. I can't be here. I am not safe here. And it still took me 3 weeks to leave. To like
Okay,
actually,
I just got to ask this: why did it take 3 weeks to leave? Here's the police that
it was
really
fear. It
would
was
have
fear.
took your. You should be thankful to that cop that didn't take both of you guys to jail and bring in Child Protective Services. That would
Absolutely.
have been enough. Well, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right.
The bottom line is, after this guy says he's going to waterboard you, you waited for another 3 weeks to do what? I'm just curious.
It was fear. It
Fear
was
what?
fear.
That he was going to do it
Fear of
earlier?
him. Fear of him killing me. Like that fear was so deep in me that it was like, I need a plan. I can't just walk out that door. I need a fucking plan.
Why didn't you go to your mom's?
I did end up going to my mom's, but I couldn't tell my mom about that. I couldn't tell my mom. I couldn't tell my dad. It's embarrassing.
I think they might have known.
I'm sure that they did. And it was embarrassing to admit that I had stayed in that position for so long. Because I've never been a dependent woman. I've never been a submissive woman. I've always been, like this particular type of person. And for me to admit that not only did I change I lost myself. I wasn't even me anymore. I abandoned myself completely in
When
that
you
relationship.
eventually went to didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. When
Okay.
you finally went to your mom and dad's house, what was their reaction?
Relief, I think.
Relief from what? That they knew about it and didn't tell you?
That
Or,
they knew. That they knew.
yeah, I kind of had a feeling they knew.
And it was relief that I was out. And to be honest with you, I went and dropped my kids off at my mom's that night. It was like a lucky break. So my husband worked from home. He stayed home all the time. He was home for work. He was home in the evenings. Like he never left. So that was part of I need a plan to get out of here, because I couldn't just pack a bag and walk out the door because he was there. Where are you going? Why do you have a bag? What are you doing? And that was the fear of literally being killed, possibly in front of my kids.
Mm.
And my kids either my kids coming with me, like as in death, or them having to live with the trauma of that for the rest of their lives.
Mm.
So, and potentially my oldest would have been fine, but my youngest going to like foster care or something.
Mm.
So that was a big fear for me. And so it was kind of like I got a lucky break. My husband on the weekend, the day I left, he had a friend coming over to hang out, and they were going to go to lunch before they hung out. And as soon as they walked out the door, I told my kids, I was like, go pack a bag. Don't take anything Dad's going to notice is missing. Pack a bag. We're leaving right now. Like I'm not doing this anymore. And so we did. We packed a bag. We got in the car and we left. I left my location on. It was the day after my youngest daughter's birthday. And I left my location on because we were supposed to be getting her nails done. So I went to the nail salon. We sat in the parking lot. We didn't even get her nails done. We sat in the parking lot. And I was like, I was like, I guess we're going to grandma's. I guess I don't know where else to go. So we're going to grandma's. And I turned my location off. I had the kids turn theirs off. I said, he doesn't even know where we're going. And dropped the kids off at my mom's, and I went to my little brother, who is my best friend, lives right up the road. And I said, hey, can I leave the kids here for a minute? I need to go talk to Sean. My mom's like, yeah, of course. I get in the car, I get to my brother's house, and I just break down, like just all this anxiety, all this overwhelm. I'm like sob crying. I can't even speak words. I'm so upset. And my brother's like, "Why? Why are you so upset?" I'm like, I this is the craziest part about being in an abusive relationship. I was upset about how he was going to feel.
You know what? I was just getting ready to say that exact statement because I don't see from where we're at now, which, let me also say thank you for taking time to come on the show and share such a great story. But I can see now you're trying to be more concerned about his feelings with you taking your kids and yourself out of harm's way.
Yes. Yes,
It's
even
crazy.
in
You,
that
you know
moment.
it's crazy, right?
Oh, I do. I do know it's crazy, but I also, and this is why, so human behaviors have always fascinated me, but this is why I do what I do now. Because, or this is why I'm working to do those things to help other people, because the way it happened to me was just, it's beyond me, even, right? Like, I'm looking at this going, this man had all intentions of killing me at points in our marriage. And I'm worried about him and how he feels. What sense does that even make?
So this
You
would
know,
explain why you're now venturing off into LMP, which is
NLP, yes.
which is
And
what which is what again?
it is neuro-linguistic programming. So it is the patterns and behaviors of speech. It's how people, that's why you don't answer phones for telemarketers, because they've learned NLP and they know how to talk you into buying things. That's part of neuro-linguistic programming.
So what
But
does this have to do with you understanding? Why do you want to understand why he did what his
oh,
behavior?
I already understand why he did what he did. And I'll
So,
be honest with you, like in the beginning when I first left, I was angry. Right? I
right.
was angry at myself, I was angry at him, I was just angry at the world, and um I felt stupid looking back at everything that had happened, and like, why didn't I leave sooner? Why did I put myself and my kids through this? And that led me to looking at myself, right? Like that led me to look at my internal self and like what what made that okay? What in my childhood, in my life prior to him being in my
Mhm.
life, what made that okay? And
What
I
made it okay?
realized my grandfather was the same way to my grandmother. And so I saw that, and I was very close with those grandparents. So I saw that my whole life. Like that was normal. My grandfather, he did hit my grandmother, but I never saw it. But I did see the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse, the like pushing her down to make her lesser than him my whole life.
And then
And so
what
go
did
ahead.
what did your L N NLP analysis of your husband? What
I
was that?
haven't studied that yet. That's my next journey. I'm studying neurotransformation therapy right now, which is the rewiring of pathways. Our Not to get too scientific, but our brains create pathways to save energy. So if X happens and you do Y, your brain starts to create a pathway between X and Y and says, okay, every time X stimulus happens, we're going to do Y.
Hmm.
But the problem with that is Y is not always the good thing to do. Y is not always the right thing to do for yourself. And the more that stimulus continues and the more you continue to do the same thing, it creates almost like a rut. Like think about like driving in the woods on like a mudding road where I'm from the south, so it's pretty normal here. Uh so you've got ruts in the road where people's trucks have driven. If you try to get out of those ruts, it's very difficult and you end up right back in them. And that's kind of where our neural pathways work the same way is if you try to divert from doing Y and you want to change to do Z instead, your brain's like, nope, nope, nope. This is Y is normal. Y is what we do, not Z. We don't do Z. Don't do that.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of work and effort to get out of those rewire those neural pathways so that now when X stimulus happens, Z happens instead of Y. So that's what neurotransformation therapy is. It's a scientific way to do what therapists do or do what life coaches or practitioners do. And I also do that. Like I'm certified to be a life coach. I'm a practitioner. So I already help people get out of their victim mentality, and because that's where a lot of us are suffering, is we feel like a victim to the outside world when in fact it's not that. It's inside you. It's your internals working against you because at one point in time you needed them to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like my marriage, the whole time I was in survival mode, it actually caused me physical harm to be in that relationship. I have RA, which is rheumatoid arthritis, and that is a symptom of emotional abuse because your cortisol levels being high, like you're constantly in fight or flight mode. Your body's not supposed to do that. Your body's not supposed to stay in those high cortisol levels for long periods of time. It's supposed to be short to save you. Caveman days, it was your cortisol level spike to get you away from the saber tooth that's chasing you, right?
Right.
Not the saber tooth that's chasing you for 15 years.
Let me go here with this last question.
Okay.
You went back numerous times.
Yes.
You wasn't emotionally stable. Now you are.
Yes.
Why didn't you? What was the difference that stopped you from going back? Because the reason I'm saying this is you were trying to validate his feelings versus your safety and your kids. So
Yes.
the thing is, outside of what took you to your mother's house, you were still in that empathy mode with him. What
Mhm.
changed the narrative today?
Well, to be honest with you, my brother was a huge part of that. Like I said, my brother's my best friend. So like that's why I went to his house, because he knew everything that was going on. My brother had tried to help me out of it. And anybody who's ever been out of that situation and gotten out of it and stayed out of it will tell you that it won't happen until you're ready. Until your nervous system can let go, you cannot leave. You cannot. It's not I don't want to leave. It's not a want. It's a can't. Your brain keeps you trapped there because this person has made you so dependent on them that your brain doesn't know how else to function. And so my brother telling me like, why are you upset right now? And me saying like, I didn't say anything to him. Like I don't even think I left a note that time. I was like, he's going to come home and the kids are going to be gone and I'm going to be gone and he's not going to know what's going on and he's going to be upset. And my brother's like, why the fuck do you care about this person being upset with you? Like after all that he's put you through. And in my brain, even now, I understand why my husband did what he did.
Why?
I absolutely understand it.
Why?
He has, I don't know, he's not been diagnosed with nice narcissistic personality disorder, and I don't think that he has it, but he definitely has some traits. He grew up in a very volatile household. His dad was abusive physically and emotionally. And he never felt good enough. He was very insecure. And he was always trying to put on this, I call it peacocking, right? He was always trying to put on this, like, I'm this big bad man and I got all this stuff and look at my wife. I was a trophy wife. He was like, look at my wife. She's gorgeous. Your wife looks like a fat slob and my wife is amazing and she owns her own business. And he talked about me with me not present. He talked about me very highly to his friends because he wanted everyone to see what a great life he had and what a perfect, loving household he was, in. And, I always I didn't know he was insecure. I had no idea until after I was out and started learning about this stuff and then started kind of putting two and two together in our relationship. And, that's why he did what he did. He did what he did because he was afraid I was going to leave him. He was afraid I was going to see who he really was and I was going to walk out because he wasn't good enough for me in his mind.
Now, my last question here. You've been through a serious journey. That beast mindset is definitely there. Looking back on everything that you've gone through, and I can still sense a little bit of still deep compassion to some. I know it might sound sick because that is your kid's father,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the type of energy that you're giving out is full of compassion and so forth. But let's get real. This is my last question. When do you cut the cord for your own mental awareness? Because the bottom line is now you are starting you're starting your own transformation. You're getting into the NLP technology now. How do you navigate a relationship with him, knowing that he hasn't changed or been diagnosed, but he's still your kid's father? How do you now either eliminate that toxic relationship from your children, because you got two daughters, in yourself, and more importantly, it took you a while to keep going back to a dude that not only wanted to white waterboard you, but told you numerous times he's gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah. I guess so. The understanding part, like, I have limited contact with him. You know, obviously we have to talk because we have a daughter together. But aside from talking about her, me picking her up or dropping her off or whatever, we don't have much contact outside of that. And he went to therapy after I left. When he realized I wasn't coming back, he started going to therapy. He started going to group therapy. I know that he still goes. I hope for him. My hope for him is that he heals from all of his wounds, right? Like, my hope for him is that he gets to a place where I'm at, or beyond me even,
Right.
right? Like, I'm at a place where those wounds no longer affect me. I'm not stuck in the past. I'm not I'm not in that victim mentality anymore, and I can see myself for who I truly am today. And just hope that tomorrow I'm going to be the best version of myself tomorrow. I'm going to be a better version of myself tomorrow than I was today. And that's all I want for him. I want him to be happy. I want him to be healthy. I want him to get through this and not be the person that he was with me.
That sounds so beautiful. Angel, thank you so much for taking time out to share such a beautiful beast mindset story. I wish you complete success in your NLP training and that you continue to give that energy to the world, and even to come on the show and not badmouth him, but to also show compassion in even while dealing with adversity that he put on you and your children. Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe, like, share, click that button. All it takes is one click. Just one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's life. This has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.
Andre the Beast. Andre the Beast. Change our lives. Andre the Beast.